video is all about cooking. So let's get into it. I'm Michael Anfield and thank you for joining me. So let's get into cooking. Now I personally I'm trying to stay away from cooking as much as I possibly can. But sometimes due to availability or budget or whatever, I just do eat on occasion cooked food. So basically, and of course other people cook too. So basically, when you fry something, okay, or when you cook something, you want to use the least oil possible. Now, people say, well, why do you want to use the least oil? Well, the thing is, it's mainly for one reason, or one main reason, and that is health. Oil is 100% fat. If we want to be the healthiest, if we want to live the longest, if we want to live a healthy long life, we don't want to be in the hospital for 20 years or 30 years or whatever. We don't want to have a heart attack and we don't want to have certain cancers and diabetes and so forth. Then we eliminate or minimize oil as much as we can. And people say, well, what kind of oils are better than others? And some people say, well, this oil and that oil. I've heard even avocado oil is good for you. I've heard olive oil and I've heard coconut oil and I've heard this and I've heard that. Well, all oils are the same. They're empty calories, meaning that they have little to no nutritional value because it's extracted from the plant. We should be eating the whole food. That's why whole foods, plant-based diet is what we should be eating. But of course, on occasion, if we wish to cook something, that's fine. Cook something that has a little bit more fat or whatever. Or once in a while, if we eat oil, that's fine. But not on a daily basis, not on a weekly basis, even. So we have to keep the fat as low as possible. And when we do eat fat, we eat whole fats like avocados, whole fats, all intact, not as an oil, not as an oil. Other good fats are things like flax seeds. You grind up the flax seeds, you put it in your foods, your smoothies, in your whatever, in your foods. You just put them in your foods, put them in your smoothies. You grind it up in a coffee grinder or something, and then that's it. If you have a Vitamix blender, do not blend it in at the same time that you're making your smoothie. Blend the flax seeds before until it's a powder, and then make your smoothie after that. So if you, for example, are frying something, don't use any oil. Buy good pans, and good pans can cost a few $100s. I've even heard of $1,000 pan. So buy a really good pan, and you don't need to use oil, or at least very, very, very minimal. Just like air fryers. Air fryers, I was told that even though it's called an air fryer, you still need to use a little bit of oil. So the whole thing, you have to use like something like 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon or something like that inside the whole air fryer. So the whole key is to consume the least amount of oil and preferably no oil. But of course, if you're transitioning to vegan way of living, then you're eating like vegan burgers and you're eating all these products, then yes, you want to indulge yourself on these foods. But in time, you want to reduce your intake of these processed foods until you see no need for them. You're eating whole foods. As time goes on, you also want to reduce your intake of cooked foods and then reduce your intake of all other foods other than fruit, because fruit is ultimately the food that we should be eating. So if we can reduce it as much as we can over time and eat and incorporate more fruit into our diet, then that's the key. That's the key. And don't forget that all these processed foods, and when you're making these, I don't know, fried foods, and you're making baked goods and all these things, they're usually high in three things. They're usually high in fat, salt, and sugar. And the highest is fat. And fat is the problem, actually. It's not the sugar. It's not the salt. I mean, yeah, it is the salt. But main culprit is the fat. The fat. Now, of course, if you put half a pound of salt in your cake and you eat it, of course that's going to be detrimental to your health. If you put a half a teaspoon, or not even that, just a little pinch of salt, then that's not going to harm you. But of course, over time, it may. But the fat, especially if it's coming from oils, I remember making desserts in the past, and some desserts call for like half a cup, one whole cup, 2 cups, 3 cups of oil. And it's like, wow, so much oil you have to put in this meal or in this baked good. And it's unbelievably how unhealthy those foods are. And people say it's the sugar that's the problem in these cakes, the sugar. And so they blame sugar on everything, sugar on fruits, sugar, drink, sugar this, sugar that. But they're blaming that, but they're still eating it. And they're on top of that, they're eating animal foods. So just want to let you know that do what you want when it comes to, as long as people don't harm animals, people can do whatever they want as long as you don't harm animals. The only thing is, in the long run, we reduce and eventually eliminate these unhealthy foods like fried foods, like foods with a lot of oil or any oil. You want to reduce the amount until you eliminate all of it. And then eventually eliminate cooked foods altogether, because we're not designed to eat cooked food. Now, we can eat anything. We can even eat all kinds of animal products. And yeah, we can do that sometimes for 50 years and nothing will happen. But there are a lot of people that die even before that, just from a heart attack like that. So I hope you learned something from this video. And if you did and you like this video, please like it, share it around, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget, my books are available at weareinterconnected.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.